Tabor, you're going to Vanderbilt. What do you remember about last year's game there? You guys kept hovering, and then Vandy, what was the final, 93-79? What happened to the team at Vandy last season, and how do you get this young team ready to go in there now?
Well, I think it was just a lack of focus, and obviously Vandy had a lot of confidence, and they shot the lights out. I mean, I think Foggy killed us that game. I just remember, anytime you lose to Vandy, it's never good, but especially, allowing 93 points on something, on a team that prides themselves on defense. And so, going in this year, especially with young players, and their gyms, different, their fans are hostile. This is a great, rivalry game for us. And so, honestly, it's just about toughness, and it's about who wants it more on the defensive end, and how tough can you be.
What do you share with some of those younger players about playing there?
Well, I mean, you have to acknowledge that there's differences. That's I think the only court in America like that. But also, you can't focus too much on that, and you have to understand that. Look, it's still basketball. It's still a court. It's still the same intensity and same atmosphere, and we still have the same goals. And so you need to address it, but I don't think you need to harp on it too much.
Tabor, you talk a lot about last year's game over there amongst yourselves in the preparation for this trip down there.
Well, honestly, I think since we are such a new team, it'll get brought up, but it won't be dwelled on. Because 5 of the people that were a big key to that game and to that season aren't here anymore. And so, yes, we'll learn from it, and we'll talk about what went wrong, and things that we need to address or whatever. But it's not going to be something that we're going to really focus on, I don't think.
Communication is what's so key there. Is that what you tell the young kids? Because there's a portion of the game where you won't be able to hear Holly. You can't get contact with the bench.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when we're on that side, either, I think first half we go offense that way and then defense. And so communication is huge, and it's going to be loud in there, and we're going to have to talk, extremely well and be really one out on the floor, because it's easy to kind of get out of sync when you can't hear things and know what's going on. And I think Rel has, grown a lot and matured a lot. And so she knows that if she can't see Holly or can't get a play, she can call a play. And she has that knowledge and that wisdom, of what needs to happen at what situation. And I think she's grown a lot, from her freshman year to now. And so I think that'll show.
Your last couple road games, you've won them both, but they've both been kind of close calls over time and down 12 in the second half. I mean, what do you need to do differently going into this game?
We need to start better. We need to have a much better start, and we can't put ourselves in a hole against Vanderbilt, because their three-point shooting can extend a game very quickly. And so we got to start quick. We got to set a tempo on defense and dictate what we want to do from the tip.
You've mentioned defense a couple of times now here. I mean, do you feel like you guys need to be better on that end of the floor than you have been lately, or I mean, what's your sense there, that side of the ball?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think we started SEC playing some really good defense in second halves of games. South Carolina, Georgia were really good defensive, spurts for us, and so we need to just do that for 40 minutes. And I can't stress it enough. Vandy has a ton of sets. They run them to perfection. We all know that they're very smart, and they can pick up stuff, and they can run a lot of different plays. And so we need to really be in tune on the defensive end of what we want to do, and bring that defensive intensity right away.
Is this just a mental thing, or are there things that you guys aren't doing actually on the floor that you need to clean up?
It's both. It's both. I think the mindset is mental. And getting after people and being aware of what's going on, and so we can be in help side. That's all mental. But I think the physical aspect of exerting that energy and really getting to the spots that you need to be, that's the physical part. So I think it's a combination of both.
But this year, obviously she's playing a lot more this season versus last year. But what's the biggest difference you see in her this year versus a year ago? I
would say just her confidence level and her willingness to just be unafraid and just go for it. And she's got all the skill set that you want in a post. She can hit the 15-footer. She can go inside and has a ton of post moves. But I think just her toughness, her confidence, and her understanding that everyone believes in her. And as a freshman, she was coming in and playing behind 2 WNBA players, and so that's tough, and that can kind of shake your confidence a little bit. So I think she's a different player now, and we've seen that.
Could you talk about your offense this year? I mean, you've got a lot of new people, and people in different roles. You're scoring almost 80 points a game. Are you at all surprised by how successful you've been on that floor, and how much confidence does that give this team? It seems like it's carried you guys through some games here where maybe some other aspects weren't up to par.
I'm honestly not surprised at all, because we all know that anybody really on our team can score 20 at any given night. That's just the nature of the types of players that our program brings in. And a lot of times we bring in skilled offensive players and then teach them how to play defense. And that's kind of, what Pats has done. And so, offensively, we feel very confident that we can score with anybody. Outside of, I think, obviously the first half of Baylor, that was the worst, where we couldn't make a shot at all. That was, not us. And we believe that, we can score with anybody. And so I think obviously you gotta fine tune stuff, and we gotta do a little bit better on some of our sets on what we want to run. But I think our confidence level is very high on that end.
Overall, is there more of a chip on y'all's shoulders this year than previous seasons, just because the expectations from the outside weren't maybe what they were in the past?
I don't know, a chip on your shoulder, but we understand that we have a lot to prove, and we understand that not a lot of people are expecting us to do big things this year. But I think that's great motivation. I mean, every year this team should be motivated to get to a Final Four, and I think this team especially is, because we understand that really outside of this circle and our families, nobody else in the country really believes in us, and that's fine with us. We don't mind that, but I think that provides a little extra motivation, which is good.
Tabor, since the SEC started, your shot has come back too. How much of a confidence boost has that been for you, and a relief? Because you are a shooter, and when your shot's not falling, that's hard to deal with, but it's falling for you now. How good has that been for you?
Oh, I mean, it's great. Obviously, when the shots go in, that's what you want, that's what you work for. And so, SEC season, I've just understood that, I have to step up my offensive game, and I've tried to do it in a variety of ways, because it hasn't necessarily been the three ball. I mean,
you've been getting to the rim too.
Yeah, I mean, the last two games, I think I've made 1 3 and not shot too many. And so, I just have to try to have a scorer's mentality and understand that people are going to play me to defend the three. And so I got to find other ways to score for this team.
Is part of it just a matter of feeling healthier now than maybe you were earlier in the season, or is there a difference physically?
I wouldn't say there's a big difference physically. It's just understanding, look, it's crunch time. Every game counts, and you gotta deal with it.
The senior year, you just
Absolutely.
deal with it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Tabor.
You're welcome.